Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. If you've ever felt like your voice didn't matter, like your story wasn't worth sharing, you're not alone. At the Empowerography Live in-person conference this year, we brought together voices from around the world, women who chose to stand up, speak out, and share stories that changed lives. And here's the truth. Your voice matters too. If you've ever felt that pull to share your story as a guest on a podcast, to start your own podcast, or step into your power, this isn't random. It is your invitation. Head over to empowerographypodcast.com and see how you can turn your voice into impact, because your story isn't just yours. It's someone else's survival guide. Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography podcast, a platform that was created to help elevate and amplify the voices of women through sharing their stories. Today, my guest is Dana Diaz. She is a best-selling, award-winning author, a global speaker, podcaster, a healing coach, and the host of Women Thrive TV's upcoming new show, Shifting Gears. Welcome, Dana. How are you doing today?
I am so excited to be here and to have this conversation. So thank you for having me.
It is my honor and my pleasure. I am so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for taking and making the time to be here with me today and allowing me into your space to share in your story, your journey, and of course, the beautiful light you put out into the world through the work you do. With that being said, let's get this party started. So, Dana, before the books, before the stages, before the platform, who was Dana? And what happened that made this work not a choice, but an actual calling for you?
Who was Dana? Dana, I'm not sure she even knew who she was. Dana, to give the short version of the long story, Dana was born to an unwed teenage mother back when it wasn't okay to be born to an unwed teenage mother. My mother actually had her tubes tied immediately after my birth, didn't want children at all, was going to leave me at the hospital. In fact, Grandma and great-grandma went and got me, and great-grandma took me home and cared for me for the first few years of my life. But when my mother decided to move in with an older man she'd met at work because he had a house and a car in the suburbs and all these things she thought that she couldn't have in a life that she could build for herself, everybody thought it was a great idea for me to go live this wonderful life with my mother. And that was when the nightmare started. So abusive childhood. My mother never warmed up to me, very neglectful emotionally, physically, and otherwise. Her husband was, to say he was the king of all narcissists, not that I knew what one was, but he was very abusive every day. On top of the physical abuse, I would hear that he shouldn't have to pay for another man's child. Nobody ever wanted you. Your mother doesn't even love you, blah, blah, blah. Needless to say, I went out in the world at 18 saying, screw that. Nobody's ever going to treat me like that again. And what do? I fall right into the lair of another abusive narcissist. Strangely, I didn't know back then that I was desperate for love, for affection, for attention, all the things that I hadn't gotten in childhood. And at the end of my 25 years and a marriage to that young man that I happened upon, I became very ill. And it was a direct result of what the doctors called chronic stress, but what it was living in fight or flight mode for 40 some years. When I got sick, I realized not only did I deserve better and did I want better for myself, but I felt it was my responsibility to share with other women that you're not doing anything noble by, forgive me, but honoring these vows to somebody that treats you or mistreats you, as the case was. You're not doing your children any favors by continuing a life where they're seeing one parent abuse another and that parent suffering as a result. There's all these things we tell ourselves about we should do this and we can't do that. But I realized to hell with all of that. Women need to know, men too, honestly, we're all human.
Yeah.
Nobody should tolerate less than what they deserve. And what everybody deserves is kindness, compassion, just humanity, and a little grace.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So can I ask, where was great grandma during that period where you went to live with your mom? Was she still in the picture?
She was still in the picture somewhat, but when I went to live with my mother, I was born and raised in Chicago. That's where I lived with my great grandma. So we moved out of Chicago into the suburbs, and most of the family didn't have a vehicle or any means to get to us. So it was every Sunday my mother would drive us to grandma and great grandma's. But when I did say something to great grandma once, when I got the courage to tell her what was going on, she put her finger to her lips. It's a typical, and I don't blame anybody, because I realize now there's generational differences. And my mother's a baby boomer, the generation that raised her grandma, great grandma. That was just how society operated. The things that happened at home, you don't talk about that. You don't share that. You stay quiet. That's what women were supposed to do. Stay quiet. Don't tell anybody. Don't talk about it. She told me, respect your mother's marriage, which actually wasn't bad advice. I agree with it, but it was not doing me any good as a child to be told that I should stay silent. But that was society back then. We didn't have social media. We didn't have people empowering us. We didn't have podcasts to say it's okay to speak up and to be loud about it. I had to do what I was told. That's, you go to Catholic school and Catholic church and they tell you honor thy mother and thy father and keep your damn mouth shut, basically.
Yeah. The generational thing. Yes. It's sweep it under the rug. We have to keep up the appearances of this perfect image of our family. We cannot shatter that image by saying anything that is negative or against the family, or you just accept it and that's it. And we can't, our parents, our grandparents, and I'm not excusing any kind of abuse or anything, but they did the best they could with what they had and what they knew, right? No excuse for abuse, none whatsoever, ever an excuse. There's never an excuse for it. But I'm more talking about your great grandmother, and this is just how things were. And you don't speak up, you don't say anything, you keep your mouth shut and keep up the appearances. And it's as wrong as it was, this is what they were taught. This is all they knew.
Absolutely. And I will say the one thing though, great grandma was a little bit of a savage. She was a rebel because she had been married a few times. And back then, you didn't get divorced, especially a Catholic woman. And she did.
No.
She didn't tolerate the abuse with her first husband. She was gone. She was done. Took their daughter, which was my grandma, and moved on and married somebody else. And so it was interesting that she told me to respect the marriage, but she also, in the same respect, told me, how did she put it? It was a Mr. Miyagi moment from Karate Kid.
Karate Kid, yeah.
Exactly the way it was, like Yoda something, but she told me that there's more to be heard in the silence than by being loud. And she implied to me that...
That's pretty fucking deep.
Yeah. And she told these things to me when I was a child. Wow. So there were all these little things. She was always trying to tell me. The other thing that always sat with me that I definitely feel it resonates now in my life, even though she's been gone for many years, is that she always told me, don't worry about your mother. Don't worry about your stepfather, because at the end of your life, all you have is you. You take care of you. You love yourself. You take care of you. That's all you need is you. And I didn't understand that as a kid, but I'm like, but my mommy.
Of course.
We all want to blame, and it's somebody else's fault that we don't have or we're lacking.
Yeah.
But when you can take that accountability, which I wasn't ready to for 40 some years, but when I finally did, I was like, oh, that's what she was talking about. Like self-love and self-respect, that stuff.
Light bulb. Listen, Dana, there are people who are in their 60s and 70s who still don't take accountability. And of course, as a kid, how can you possibly understand what your grandmother's trying to relay to you? Albeit those are incredibly wise words, but fall on deaf ears as a child, of course, because what are you talking about? What? But you realized it later on. And that's the important thing, is that you did take those words of wisdom and embody them, not just listen, but fucking embody them. That's powerful.
It is.
And that's what it's about.
It is. And it's what it's about. But the message that I always relay, especially when I do live talks, is that it's not about me. Everybody will say, oh,
Yeah.
look at you and your story. You're resilient. You're brave. You're amazing. You're strong. It's not about me. Every single person in this world has that power. It's all inside of us.
Yeah.
It's just, do we want to tap into it? Are we ready to face it? Or can we handle it?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. And it's so much bigger than all of us, really. This podcast, yes, you and I are sitting here talking and sharing your story and your journey, but it's so much bigger than us. It's about impacting people through our stories. And that's why storytelling is so damn important. And not everyone's ready to tell their story, and that's okay. When you are, here you go. You have an audience.
Absolutely.
It's about giving others a permission slip to stand up and share their stories.
100. I remember when I first started on this journey, my first book, and I was beginning to be invited onto podcasts. And I remember an African missionary priest who is a very dear friend of mine. He said, why are you doing all this? And I said, Father, the Lord gave me 2 ears. I know I'm supposed to listen with them, but he gave me one mouth, and it's a really big mouth, and I'm done being silent. So I said, forgive me, but this is something we have to do because it is a permission slip. And that is exactly what I tell women. You are allowed, but you have to give yourself that permission to stand in your truth and stand in that power and take your power back. And that's why we're here.
For sure. Yeah. I love that you mentioned the 2 ears and one mouth, because a good friend of mine always says, you have 2 ears and one mouth for a reason. Use these more than you use this. Listen. And people think they're great listeners. I would hazard a guess that 95% of people think they're really good listeners when they're not. It's a skill set. It really is a skill set to learn to listen, and listen with intent, listen actively, listen with an open mind, an open heart, and these things, open ears. It's a practiced skill set for sure.
I agree wholeheartedly, and I agree knowing that I'm not a very good listener.
There you go. You just shattered it for me.
Yeah, I did. But it's okay, because that's what I was trying to impress to my priest, that we all have a gift. And mine, unfortunately, is, I shouldn't say unfortunately, I'm actually very glad that I was given this gift of being able to express myself and without shame and unapologetically. It took me a while to come back out and be this way, but it's something that I feel strongly that, I always joked with him, this is how God made me, and you believe in God, and I'm just saying, this is how he decided I was going to be, so this is how we're rolling.
I love it. I love it. Dana, if your body could tell the truth, your mouth wasn't allowed to speak during the abuse, what would it say now, do you think?
Oh, it would have told me to listen, just to listen. Because they always say 20/20 vision in retrospect, or your vision is 20/20 in retrospect. And when I look back, even at my childhood, my mother married her abusive husband when I was 7 years old. And I remember at 7 years old, whether it was at school or at summer day camp, the headaches and the stomach aches. But the headaches they were more like migraines. And I would complain and complain. The teachers didn't know what to do with me. They sent me to the nurse's office. The nurse would give me a mint. Nobody ever asked me what was going on. Nobody ever seemed to care either that maybe I should see a doctor, although I'm not sure the doctors would have asked what was going on at home. But looking back, talk about signs that there was something very off and very stressful going on in my life. Headaches, stomach aches, and they continued into that first marriage of mine, 25 years. But the stomach aches and the headaches began to develop into other things. And I don't think people realize it. And this is another reason I wrote my book, is because our bodies do tell us what our minds aren't willing to accept. And one of the biggest things was that towards the end of my marriage, when things were getting really bad, I was having probably 24 random, seemingly unrelated symptoms, physical symptoms. And for example, I was blacking out constantly. If I sat for more than 10 minutes, it almost felt like rigor mortis was setting in. My legs, it didn't make sense for somebody who ran 5 miles a day. My hands would go numb. My heart, palpitations. I was having neurological issues. Everything was happening and nothing seemed to make sense. So I made a spreadsheet because I'm a type A and I'm a Capricorn. So I have two double whammies that I have to be structured and see patterns and be organized. So I made an Excel spreadsheet with all of my symptoms. And at one point, very shortly, probably a few weeks in, I realized stress somehow played into the days that I was having more symptoms than other days. And so I started tracking my stress. And by the end of probably a year and a half after that, after going to one doctor after another and during one test after another, it was determined that I had such astronomically high levels of cortisol running through my body for 40 some years that I had actually developed all these autoimmune reactions. Basically, what happened was the cortisol was just flooding my system. My white blood cells thought they had to eradicate the threat, but they ended up killing themselves off instead. And so I ended up with autoimmunity and a rare lung syndrome that the neurologist said is like having COPD and fibromyalgia all at once, which explains all the random, seemingly unrelated symptoms.
Yeah.
So when I say listen to your body, I mean listen to your body, because every doctor I went to for a year and a half was, oh, heart palpitations, here's a pill. Oh, maybe you have anxiety, here's a pill. Maybe you're depressed, here's a pill. Oh, let's do a colonoscopy and an endoscopy, and maybe your digestive system will regulate, and here's another pill.
It's just guesswork.
I don't want pills. I want somebody to tell me what the hell is going on. And nobody could tell me until I ended up with a doctor, functional medicine doctor, who got me with Mayo Clinic. And that's when somebody finally said, oh, maybe she's stressed out. Maybe there's stress. Maybe it's cortisol. And thank God somebody put two and two together, because at the end of the day, when the neurologist sat me down and said, I don't know what's going on in your life, but I can't give you a pill and there is no surgery. Whatever it is, it needs to go. I knew what it was. It was my then husband. And it needed to go. And I'm going to say this, that when that marriage did end and he did move out of the house, I'm saying it flippantly, but it was like a darn miracle. It was a miracle. It's like literally everything went away. Every physical symptom just disappeared. A switch was flipped. Literally. And I'm not saying that lightly. I mean that very literally.
No.
It was like, it was magical. And so there is something very to be said for the environment you're living in. I am very firm with people now that you don't have to be obligated because somebody is your family. Think of yourself as a flower in a garden. And if you have all these weeds around you, preventing you from the sunshine and preventing the rain from nourishing you and sucking the nourishment from the soil and poisoning you, and you shrivel up and you die, that's what that feels like. But boy, when those weeds are removed, and it's nice when they remove themselves, but if you have to remove them, get them out of your garden, oh, it's amazing. It's amazing how you flourish. It's amazing. But we have these things in our head that say, oh, I can't and I shouldn't. That's my mother. That's my husband. What about my kids? Or that's my sister or whatever. Biology is not an inherent social relationship, unfortunately. It's biology. My mother, we're estranged. It's sad. I wish that weren't the case, but I understand now. She was the vessel that brought me here. And thank God, somehow I survived it, and she kept me alive like a goldfish in a bowl. It was very isolating and lonely, but here I am, and I am thriving now, and that's an understatement. So we have to remove ourselves from these obligations and expectations, step outside of it, be autonomous, think for yourself, understand your reality, look at your environment, and make the adjustments that you need to make so that you're doing okay. Because the best you is the best you for your kids and for your partner and for whatever family and friends and the people you surround yourself with.
For sure. People think just because they are related by blood, they must have a relationship with them. And it is not true. If the relationship is toxic, no, cut it off. It's unfortunate because they're family and you don't want to do that. But what's the alternative? you
Stress.
suffering
Yeah.
or you being laden with dis-ease for what? To keep a relationship that is toxic in your life? No, it doesn't matter if they're blood or not. If they are not good for you, see ya.
100%. And I speak from experience. And I do tell people, when I started to come back into myself and set some boundaries and decide that I deserved respect and I deserved to love myself if nobody else was going to love me, it's amazing how many people scattered and abandoned me and rejected me and shamed me and ridiculed me. People I never expected. My favorite aunt, how could she shame me and say that I'm no longer part of the family? That friend, people at my son's school, oh my gosh. But you know what? It was suffering. It was awful. I'm not going to lie. I remember one night I was so distraught with grief, mourning basically the death of dozens of people that chose not to associate with me anymore, some being family, some not. But the devastation, I took a bottle of rum in the shower and just cried my eyes out. Eyes out. The grief, if somebody is dead, that's one thing. There's no hope. But to know that somebody consciously made a choice to not even associate with you and you loved them and you cared about and you thought they loved you too, it's devastating. But you know what? That's part of life. There's loss, but there's something that grows from that. And what I can look back at now and say is I'm glad that those people were honest with themselves enough to be honest with me in the way that they showed up or didn't show up in my life, because now I know who is for me and who isn't. It's my choice to discern who my people are and who they aren't. And I've also realized life is too short. Why would I want to waste my time chasing approval and attention and affection from people who are committed to going against me in some way? If they don't care about me, that's their option, including my mother. And we can say snarky things like it's her loss because I really am that fabulous and she should be proud to be my mother. And I do say that once in a while, but her
There's nothing
choice.
wrong with that, though.
She is the most amazing mother to her son with her husband. And I'm glad for him because I cringed when they had that baby because I was scared that he would endure what I had. But he thinks he has the best parents ever. And I'm glad for him. It wasn't that way for me, but I'm looking at the bright side of things, that thank God, because I am who I am because of all that stuff. And I've had to face some truths that I didn't want to face, but they just made me that much more resilient and that much stronger to be able to face the things I do in the present and future. And I don't want to waste my time with people that don't want any part of me, and nobody should. So I respect their choice,
pointless.
and I respect myself enough not to make those same mistakes again going forward.
All of those experiences, as you said, shaped who you are today, the strong, resilient, courageous woman you are today, who is out there helping others. And that's it. We're all here to be in and of service to one another. So you're on your path, you're on your journey, and those experiences that you went through, as horrible as they were, they made you who you are today. They've helped you get to where you are.
Absolutely.
They've built the Dana you are today. So we have to be grateful for having gone through those things, for the lessons that we were able to take and move on. I think that's another thing, is that no matter how shitty a situation seems at the time, there is always something to be learned there and to take forward from those situations.
Yes.
And that is a skill set as well, to be able to step outside of it. And you may not be able to do it at that time,
right,
which is okay. But if you can look back on it and say, okay, why did this happen? What am I to take from or learn to take forward into the next iteration of who I'm becoming? And how can I use that to benefit me and, of course, to benefit others?
Oh, absolutely. I've heard it said a million different ways. I remember hearing Joel Osteen back in the day say every setback is a setup. And I was like, oh, that actually makes sense. And when you look at, I love the story of Walt Disney. People think Disney is just this billion-dollar worldwide empire, but if you really look at his story of how many times he went bankrupt, that people laughed at him Nobody wanted to give him loans for this idea he had for a mouse in a castle.
Yeah.
So he struggled, but he believed in himself enough to keep going and to make that dream come true. And gosh,
Yeah.
shouldn't we all believe in ourselves enough? But if you take all that rejection and the abandonment and the mistakes and you just let them drown you, where are you going to end up? Everybody has a different idea of the meaning of life. Why are we here? All these existential ideas. But in my opinion, it's to learn. You're here to learn. And I tell people all the time, the reason why you keep having those bad relationships or you keep repeating the same patterns, generational patterns even, it's because somebody hasn't learned the lesson. You need to learn something. And once you learn from it, then you can move on. Because believe me, when I got divorced, I was like, I'm done with men. I'm not ever getting married. I'm not going to date. I might have a friend with benefits, but I'm not going to date. And I'm like, hey, we're human. We have needs. But the beautiful thing was, thank God, I am remarried. And I've known my husband for many years. I never looked at him in that way. Obviously, I wasn't looking at anything because I was a little busy being in an abusive marriage and trying to raise a kid and keep my head above water. But I would have never in a million years thought that me, the girl who was abused in childhood, the girl who was abused in a 25-year marriage, who struggled with suicide, who struggled with depression and anxiety, all these things, how could I have a healthy relationship with somebody? And has it been easy? No, it hasn't been easy, but through healing and realizing my patterns and becoming more self-aware and just being more conscious and intent on getting better and improving myself, it's amazing how our relationship and our marriage is flourishing. Because I swear, I'm still sometimes in awe. Oh, look at me having a nice, happy marriage and everything. And look at us having a disagreement, but we're smiling and we're laughing and nobody's throwing things across the room or punching holes in walls or yelling or leaving the house like a toddler having a tantrum. It's amazing when we give ourselves that time and that space. And again, it goes back to the permission to maybe this doesn't have to be my story. Maybe I can have that life that I never thought I could have, because I never thought any of this was going to happen. Back with my ex-husband, despite having a degree in journalism and studying psychology and wanting to be the next Barbara Walters myself, it was interesting. He moved me 90 miles outside of Chicago, knew nobody, had nobody, no family, no friends. And
Isolation.
Yes. Our Narcissism 101. And he had me scrubbing toilets and floors, working as a cleaning lady in this podunk little town in the middle of cornfields in the Midwest with his best friend's wife. And it was honest work. And I was that person that's, hell, if this is what I'm going to do for work, then it's kind of, I think of the Seven Dwarfs. We're going to whistle while we work. I turned those 2 or 3 little cleaning jobs every week into a 6-figure business and made enough money to leave him. So it was an amazing thing for me, but it's just how you look at your situation and what can you learn from it? What can you make of it? But certainly adverse circumstances are there for a reason, and they don't have to be what you make out of them, if that makes any sense.
Yep, for sure. I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Dana. So, speaking of healing, what part of your healing journey scared you the most because it meant that you could no longer blame the past for the future?
Oh, the part of healing that's scary is taking accountability, I think. I always say the first step in healing is self-awareness. When you start becoming more aware, like stepping outside the situation and saying, okay, this is why this person behaved that way. This is why seeing the patterns, seeing the history. It's not excusing it. I want to be clear about that. But it's having that awareness to be able to say, okay, for example, I would not apply this necessarily to my childhood because no child should be abused and you don't have a choice, unfortunately. But in my previous marriage, all these things happen. And the big question people ask is, oh, it couldn't have been, why did you stay? It couldn't have been that bad if you stayed for 25 years. It was. And I could get into the trauma bond and the fact that a trauma bond is not just emotional. There's chemical aspects in your body and things going on that actually make you feel like a crack whore coming down from a high if you try to leave. But aside from that, the accountability, looking back, knowing that I could have walked out at any time, but I made the choice to stay. That's a tough one. That's a tough one to be able to say, okay, I contributed. I chose my suffering. And I chose, going back to what I was just saying about whistle while you work, I did choose many times in that relationship and even afterward, and I'm guilty of it even now once in a while, to pity myself and the poor me. And we oftentimes, and I say we because I see this in people that are in those situations or they're out of them and they're not ready to take that accountability. And I did this too. It's I hear what you're saying, but he said this, but she did that. So it's like you want that validation for how you feel.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you have to give yourself that validation. You want external validation because you don't trust yourself. Or maybe you don't believe yourself. Maybe you don't believe you're worthy. Whatever it is, that's the stuff you have to work on. Because all this healing stuff, I always say it's kind of like if anybody's ever dug up a rose bush, I did once, and it was, talk about trauma. Every time you think you're down like 4 feet in the dirt and you think I'm almost there. And then more roots come. And you're like, oh God, help me. Will this ever end? And it's just how healing is. And then you stick yourself with a thorn and you're like, son of a bucket, this is just never going to end for me. There's some more suffering. There's more beneath the surface that I didn't know about. But we have to understand that I was just telling this to somebody yesterday. Our nervous system is built to keep us safe. Our subconscious mind and conscious mind are built to keep us safe. So things will come into your awareness as you begin to heal and as your nervous system decides that you can handle more truth. But still, I go back to the accountability to be able to say, crap. Okay, I chose that, or I did that, or okay, I see how my reaction there could have caused that. And again, I need to be clear because I get so much crap for this, but nobody should ever be treated that way. And nobody is ever to blame for how they're treated. But unfortunately, you are responsible for your healing. Nobody else is going to heal you. No justice that is served to the abuser is going to heal you. You have to heal you.
Yeah, no one is coming to save you. You have to be your own fucking superhero. Yeah. You have to put on that cape. No one else is going to do it for you. So put your damn cape on.
Yeah, that's the truth.
I mean, you can't do it alone. You have to have support around you too. I think it's important to have support, people who support you, who are there in your corner, because we can't do this thing called life alone. And healing is not linear. It's a long journey, and it's a never-ending journey, right? So having people in your corner who support you is key. It is so important along that journey. Yes, they can't heal you. And they're not there for that. They're just there for support.
Absolutely.
And that's what we need.
And I firmly agree with that, because I think the instinct, and it was certainly mine, is my big plan. I remember telling my current husband's father, because I knew his father many years before I even met him, but I would confide in his father all the time. He was a dear, sweet old man. But I told him, I'm going to get a divorce and I'm going to get a Great Dane and move to the mountains in North Carolina and just live alone in a cabin all by myself. My son will be fine. He's an adult. He can go do his own thing and live his life. But no, not me. I'm just going to go basically be a nun in the middle of nowhere and do nothing.
Me and my dog.
And he was like, you're 44. You're just, no, that's, and then a year later, I'm like,
that's not what's meant for you.
Son. Like, the beautiful thing, and I don't need to, but in response to what we were discussing, when I got with my husband, I actually told him no over and over, because I was like, I need to heal. I need some space. I need some time. Last thing I need is another man. Been there, done that. I'm good. But it was so helpful, because if I had isolated, I don't think I would have healed how I have, because I always liken him.
Yeah.
I describe it as he was my crutch until I could walk again on my own. He gave me time and physical space to just be, to rest my mind, to have a peaceful environment where I could sort out all the things. And there's things and more. And I'm still having epiphanies. So I appreciate you saying it's a healing journey. It never does end. I laugh when people say, oh, I'm healed. I wish we could all be healed. But you know what? Every once in a while, this mother trucker taps me on the shoulder and says, I'm still here. And I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. Yeah, you think you're over stuff. And I literally am. I've had a couple, probably 2 or 3 huge epiphanies in the last year out of nowhere, which of course it seemed like it was an issue with my husband, but it tied back to my mother. And oh my God, how could I not see this before? Because I help other people. You know? It is a journey, and we have to give ourselves that grace again and just understand that we will come to understand and become aware as our bodies and our minds decide that we're more comfortable knowing the absolute truth. So it's just be open, be curious, and see what comes of it. But I think the most important thing is to live in the moment, to be present in the moment, because that's something that so many abuse victims, we're depressed about the past, we're anxious about the future. We fail to live in the present and experience the joy and just life as it unfolds.
Yeah, for sure. So what did reclaiming your voice cost you, Dana? Relationships, identities, versions of yourself?
Everything. And I honestly, everything. Going back to, like I said, that moment, it was actually right before I married my husband, this husband, that sending out all those wedding invitations and getting all these people responding that they're not coming, that they are not okay with how I've chosen to get a divorce from my first husband. They're not okay with my healing. They're not okay with my boundaries. They didn't say those words, but that was the message in, we don't like what you're doing. We liked you better when you were broken and all these other things. And in that situation, and it almost felt like people didn't want me to be happy, but everything. I couldn't stay in that house that I shared with him. So my son and I moved out. We moved in with my current husband, and that was great. But all the people I lost the home, and the only home my son had ever known, my life, I feel at a loss for words because it's overwhelming. I literally lost everything. It was like starting over. But I also realized that when you have nothing else to lose, how much strength you find in that. Nothing seems risky. You lose fear. You're not afraid of rejection and abandonment, because who the heck is going to reject or abandon you now? And even if they do, you're like, we'll throw you in the bucket with the rest of them then. What are you going to do? So it's amazing the power that you can stand in when you're like, okay, I'm here on my own. All I've got is me. So let's dust off our knees, stand up, and keep walking forward. But
that's all we can do. You have 2 choices, right? You either give up or you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and carry on.
Yeah. And it's not to say it wasn't sad. And there was mourning. I think I said in my 3rd book, healing is mourning. It's mourning the death of what could have been, of what was, of who you were, and who you had to be to get you to where you are and to get you out of those circumstances. And honestly, I think that was probably even despite all the people I lost and the things I don't want to say losing, but when I realized that old version of myself, I couldn't live in that mindset anymore. Stepping into who I was, I felt like I was dancing over both lines, because I felt like I was abandoning the old version of myself to become this. I call myself Dana 2.0, like I'm some kind of robot or something. A new and improved, updated version, just like an app. Everybody had rejected and abandoned Dana 1.0, the original. And I'm like, how can I do that to her too? How could I do that? And that was painful, but it was something that I realized, you know what? She's the one who survived and fought to get us here. So I would be doing her a disservice not to step into this and embody this life that we worked so hard to get to, a life that I never imagined. Like I said, the Disney story, I don't think Disney knew he was going to have a worldwide corporation. I was scrubbing toilets. I didn't know I was going to write a book that was going to be a bestseller, an award winner, and be on podcasts and speak at. This is the last thing I ever thought. I never thought I was going to be on NBC Chicago. How wild is that? But that's the thing.
That's
I think
amazing.
when people can just let go of the vision, detach from this is what you should do and this is what I can't do, and all that stuff. Oh my gosh, when the world just opens up to you and you just let life unfold in front of you, you want to talk about free. It's amazing. It's exciting. It's like an adventure.
It's magic.
It truly is magical. But I always say that's part of rewriting the story. The only time you have is now, is the present. What was, okay, we get it. It sucked. It happened. Nobody should have to go through that. But a nightmare can turn into a happy fairy tale ending. It has for me. And I wish that for everybody. But I know that I could never have pictured this back then. You just have to get that self-trust restored.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Dana. That is a beautiful way of putting it. You had to, for Dana 2.0, you had to abandon Dana 1.0. You just had to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, where would you'd be in the same spot. And that's not in and of service to anyone, least of all you.
Exactly.
And you're the most important.
Exactly.
In all of this. Women have been conditioned to believe that they have to put everyone else ahead of themselves, their kids, their partners, their family. It's bullshit.
It is.
It is absolute bull. It's backwards. It is ass backwards. You have to put yourself first. And I'm going to say that is not fucking selfish.
No, it's not.
One bit. Not one bit.
No.
It is selfless to do that.
I always tell people that struggle with that, because I did too. I always tell them, what do they tell you the first thing when you get on an airplane and you take off? If there's some emergency and the oxygen masks drop down, they tell you to put the mask on yourself first so you can breathe and you can be alive and live and think and help other people. Then you're supposed to pick your favorite child or favorite person on the plane to put a mask on them. Yeah. But you have to be the best you to be of service to somebody else. Because if I had stayed that old Dana, I honestly, I feel bad sometimes. It is what it is. And I've given myself that forgiveness of, I thought I was doing the best I could for my son. And I was, but it wasn't the best for us to stay. I wish that I would have had the strength to leave, but I could have been a better mother if I was a healed mother.
Well, and you are now, and that's what matters.
Exactly. And actually everything's fantastic. And he's ridiculously socially and career-wise and in every way. He's happy, he's successful, all is well. And I'm very proud of him and so thankful that he didn't go down some of the paths that some people do to deal with all of those things. But we have to be our best selves, the end. That is not selfish. It is not selfish. For me, that means taking care of my body, taking care of my mental wellness, watching what I eat. Sometimes I have to say no to things because I know that I'm too tired or I'm not going to bring the best version of me to the situation. And that's okay. I don't feel bad about it anymore. I used to feel guilty, but it's not selfish at all. It is me saying, this is what I need to be my best me, and I want to give my best me to the world and to everybody I love around me.
That's the thing. You get to choose who you give your best self to. Yeah. That's the important piece. Yeah. Is with putting yourself first, it gives you that much more in your cup to give to those you choose to give to.
Absolutely. And that's one of the main, there's 5 or 6 different components when I'm working with people, but one of them, or I should say it's 2 components, is the time and energy. Because how many situations or people do we give our time and energy to, even if it's just energy of giving them that emotional space that drains and exhausts us, when it's taking away from things that could fuel us and propel us and uplift us and encourage us. Why do we do that? Out of obligation, out of expectation. And who puts those on us? Our families, society. Sometimes it's culture, sometimes it's gender expectations, but it is all bullshit. At the end of the
Yeah,
day,
it is.
it's your choice. And you can either choose to give in and be self-sacrificing. And if you think that's
Be the martyr.
something to glorify, that's fine. But it's not, it's not my vibe anymore. I'm good. I want to live for me because I'm halfway there, assuming I make it to 100. But I don't know if I want to make it to 100. But I'm not 20 anymore is what I'm saying. Like, I don't have this idea like I have my whole life ahead of me. No. Even if I have 5 minutes right now, I don't want to waste it on somebody that I have no interest in spending time with, or somebody that has not been kind to me. Or we all have these choices to make. I tell people I'm like a toddler now, and I don't think it's a bad thing. You know how toddlers are like, I don't wanna. And they don't have a reason. They just don't want to. Or they'll come up to you and be like, I don't like you. I don't like the look on your face.
Yeah.
They will tell you. And you know what? God love them. You want to talk about self-love and self-respect. They assert themselves. They set boundaries. But what else does a toddler do? When somebody upsets them and they say, I don't like that you did this, and they're crying and screaming and whining, the second you say, I'm sorry, I feel bad, I shouldn't have done that, they're like, okay, cool. And they go back to, let's go color together. Let's go play tag or whatever it is. I guess a toddler doesn't play tag. But why can't we all be that resilient? Just assert yourself, set your boundaries.
There's lots of lessons
Speak
there.
your mind, be a toddler. That's my advice.
Yeah. I love it. I love that. In your opinion, Dana, what's harder, do you think, for society to accept? A woman who feels broken or a woman who is fully healed and no longer controllable?
Yeah, society doesn't like women who are healed. Let's be real. In my life, I think I mentioned this, it's interesting to me, all the people whose egos were fulfilled when they thought they were helping me. And poor Dana and her situation. But when I started standing up for myself and saying no to things that were not good for me and having those boundaries, and they didn't like that very much, because people benefit from people that are unhealed. People take advantage of people that are unhealed. So when you start healing and you start having self-respect, that doesn't work for a lot of people, because now they know you have the strength to say no to them. They know that they can they can't cross boundaries anymore because you're going to set a line or cut them out completely or whatever it is. So yeah, people like the broken version, the unhealed version of women particularly. It's interesting because there is, I think, a male-female dynamic there, because a man is supposed to be strong and assertive and all this stuff, but when a woman acts that way, what do we call her?
Oh, no.
We call her a bitch or a see you next Tuesday or whatever. Yeah. But in the man's world, especially at work, that's a successful man. That's a dominant personality.
It's celebrated.
Look at him. Yeah. But a woman does it, and watch out for her.
She's a controlling bitch, or she's evil, or all the things, right? It's so fucked up.
It really is. And my thing is, I'm at the point, and I think when you do heal, you get to the point where what other people think doesn't matter. And that is very key, because the only thing that matters is how you feel and what you think. And I'm good with myself. I know I'm a good human. I don't need to validate or justify. So if somebody perceives me as a bitch or as a whatever, that's on them. I can't control that, but obviously they're not my people. But definitely people like unhealed versions of women so they could feel better about themselves.
And control.
Yeah.
It's about control too.
Yeah. Yeah, because unhealed people are easy to manipulate.
Yep. Absolutely. So you mentioned Dana 2.0. You had to leave behind Dana 1.0. Meeting that new and upgraded version of yourself. Tell us about the moment you met her.
So it's very interesting. We were acquainted, but the moment we met her, it was actually not even that long ago. But my husband and I, I was going to say some issues. There's some major issues with his family because they preferred unhealed Dana, and this Dana doesn't work for them. But there was a point where, honestly, the marriage was in question.
Wow.
And it was devastating because I adore and love and respect this man, and I know he feels the same about me. But I remember curling up in fetal position, crying my eyes out in bed. Oh my God, I thought this one would last. I thought I did it good. I got it right this time with this guy. And I cried, and I realized in that moment, I'm like, so I'm sad, and this is devastating, but you know what? I'm going to be okay. If this is it, I'm going to be okay. So I'm going to live somewhere else. Okay. Not the first time. I'm going to be divorced again. Okay. Been there, done that. It's going to be okay.
I've already been down that.
The theme was, I'm going to be okay. But it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to mourn. It does suck. And I'm human. I'm going to feel the things, but I'm going to be okay. And I'm going to be okay knowing that I can move on and still love this man and know that he still loves me and that it's okay. We're going to be okay. And that's a version of healing that you're like, whoa, that doesn't make sense, because when a major life thing happens, oh my gosh. And this carries over, like, people, I think I disrupt people's frame of thinking, because even with death, somebody dies and I'm like, well, I don't mean to be cold. Many people I love have died, but I'm like, we're all going to die. That is the one thing we're all guaranteed.
Yeah.
I can be
for
sad
sure.
and whatever, but I don't lose my shit over it, because I'm like, okay, even if it was tragic, that sucks, but we know it can all happen at any moment, any given moment. You can drop right now, something tragic can happen, you can get sick, and it can be prolonged, but it's the same thing. And I think when you're healed and you realize, okay, I don't have to completely get dysregulated and disrupt my entire life still goes on, and I can move forward, giving myself permission to have emotions, but also giving myself permission to still live and live with joy and peace and presence in my heart. It's weird.
I love that.
It's a weird
Love it.
feeling.
Yeah. But you're right. Again, what choice do you have? Two choices. You either let it destroy you, or you accept it, grieve it. I'm not saying, oh, who cares? Don't be sad. Be sad.
Yeah.
Feel the emotions. Let them flow through. I think this is important for everything. When something horrible happens in our lives or something sad happens, feel those fucking feelings. Do not. The absolute worst thing you could do is stuff them down and not deal with them. So feel them, let them flow through you, but don't stay stuck in them.
100%.
And it's different for everybody. Things affect people differently. So what takes you, say, for example, a week or a month to get through may take someone 3 months, or it may take someone less time than you. And that's okay. But just don't let those feelings keep you stuck.
I agree.
Move through them.
I agree.
Get support.
I always say suppression is why are people depressed? Because they're sitting with these feelings inside of them that have no way to get out. And that's why movement is so important. There's all these somatic yoga, somatic therapy, all these things, and people think it's all woo-woo stuff. But the reality is it's all energy. Everything's energy. And if you're stuffing your feet, and I hate to say, that goes back to the baby boomer generation. They were the masters of stuffing feelings. And here I'm a Gen Xer, and we're, I was not allowed to have feelings growing up. I had to suppress them. They were frowned upon. They were an inconvenience. So that's what made me sick. Thinking that I can't.
Exactly. It manifests in dis-ease.
Exactly. 100,000,000%. And now one of my big things is if I'm feeling a certain way, I look like a wacky doodle, but I'll do 10 jumping jacks and just be like, okay, I'm uncomfortable, but I got to sit with this, but let's do some jumping jacks or some push-ups. I have a walking pad that slides right up because I have a stand-up desk. So just, okay, we're just going to get some movement. Sometimes it's just putting on a song and just being like, we're going to dance this out for a minute. Nothing like Taylor Swift, Shake It Off. The hater's going to hate. And just get it out of you. Get it out of you. Move it through you. But I'm a crier, and I don't apologize for crying anymore. The tears are going to come. And I tell people, don't be sad for me or anything. I don't need coddling, but let me just feel the stuff. And if I'm happy, I'm going to feel the stuff. I don't care if I look like a 12-year-old jumping up and down and clapping. Yay. This is me. This is who I am. You like it, great. If you don't, move on. Go find somebody else.
There's the door. See you later. Don't let the door hit you in the ass.
We don't do vanilla here. So, So the movement is a big thing. Get the energy out of you. Speak it. Write it out. Whatever you got to do. Do the 10 jumping jacks. Get it the hell out of you.
Yep. I love it. What strength did abuse accidentally forge into you that you now refuse to apologize for?
I think just my fortitude to stand in my truth. I've always been a truth seer, and now I am not shy about being a truth teller. People don't like the truth, though. A lot of people don't like the truth because that requires them to face accountability for how that truth shows up in their life. And I used to shy away from that and think, oh my God, nobody likes me. I seem to trigger people. Just walking to a room just seems to upset people. And now I'm just like, you're welcome. I am your invitation to be curious and explore that if you so choose. And if you don't, that's your option too. But I think it's an amazing thing, a superpower to just disrupt people's sense of who they are and what their life means and what their reality is. And a lot of people really don't like that. But I am strong about, you want to talk about
I love it. What is something that you will no longer tolerate, not from others, not from systems, and not even from yourself?
Excuses. I think that, like, when I look back at being in that marriage or even in my childhood, oh, that's my mother. I'm just supposed to deal with whatever because that's my mother. Or when I was in my marriage, I made vows to him. I should stay because I made vows. I should stay because I would hate to break the family unit. People talk about broken families. Like, it's exhausting.
Yes.
I'm rolling my eyes. The excuses, because the excuses are exactly what they are. They are justifications. It's how we gaslight ourselves into accepting things that are bullshit, basically. We know we don't feel right. We know it doesn't align with who we want to be or how we envision our lives, but we have to have excuses to make ourselves feel better
to justify it. Self-justification, right?
Yeah. And that's one thing I don't do to myself. I will call BS on myself all day long because I want to have reasons for doing things, not excuses for not doing things. And I hate to say, even with my husband, this poor man, he's so patient and gentle and easygoing, but he'll say something and be like, and I'm like, no, that's bullshit. And I will call him out and say, that is bullcrap. You're just saying that so you feel better about it, so you feel comfortable not confronting this or asserting how you really feel because you don't want the conflict. Bull. And I don't like when people BS themselves or me or anybody. I will call BS on it. And I'm like that little pit bull. I'm like, like calling everything out. Yeah, I'm real popular with
your
people.
bullshit meter's always running high.
Always. Look at the life of
that.
45 years of BS I was fed. Oh, I know my mother, let me share this from my childhood. And we're laughing, but it's very serious. One of the first times I was bullshitted was my mother was an ultimate gaslighter. Her all the time about the things her husband was saying and doing to me, the abuses. And she would tell me, she's told me this so often, he wouldn't do all those things or say all those things if he didn't care about you so much, if he didn't love you so much. All the time. I was literally hearing that's what love is, that love is abuse, that mistreatment equaled love. And I knew it wasn't right. I could feel it because I knew I could see my little friends and their parents didn't treat them that way, or even with my great grandma, my uncles, they didn't treat me the way my stepfather and mother did. It was bull. And that's what I was a kid when I realized that. I'm like, and my own mother was bullshitting me. How awful is that? The person you're supposed to trust and look up to, and you're like, wow, they're not even in touch with reality, and
so who the fuck can I trust?
Who can I trust? Yeah. Yeah. Talk about having trust issues. And that's a whole other part of healing. That's where I've learned to trust myself, and there's a system to that, a method, but to the madness. But it's something so many people don't even try to do when they get into the healing journey. They just assume don't trust anybody, and that's not going to get you anywhere.
No, absolutely not. It's founded. Those feelings are
Oh,
founded.
absolutely.
Of course, when you've been through something like that, but you're right, it's not going to get you anywhere. So in your experience, what is the shadow side of healing that no one prepares women for?
The shadow side of healing that nobody prepares women for, I think it's just all the realizing that you don't have to forgive other people for the healing to happen. You have to look at your own dark side and all the things that you dishonored and dismissed in yourself. I'll just say it, there were times in my former marriage where I had all these awful ideas. He would leave on his motorcycle to go somewhere, and I would think, oh my gosh, I hope he gets into an accident. These terrible things, but I think that's part of that awareness, is that really looking at like, gosh, being in those situations gave me a dark side, and I have to deal with all those emotions just as much as everyone else's. But I think it's also part of that is facing your own humanity and knowing that you're not perfect, and you're gonna have inappropriate thoughts, and you're gonna do things that you wish you hadn't because they're not characteristic of who you believe yourself to be. And just there's a lot to unravel there. That's what the whole shadow side is. We all have Darth Vader as the original dark side symbol, and we all have that that thing breathing down our neck saying, nope, stay back, I gotta hold you back. That's not what we're trying to do. But it's there, and we all have that in us. But we have to just integrate that with the person that we truly want to be. It's like the dynamic between the good angel and the devil. We have one on each shoulder, and you're like telling the devil, yeah, I know, I feel it too, but we're not doing that today. And the angel's like holier than thou over there saying, oh, this is the way to handle it. And you're like, yeah, that's effed up too. That's not going to work for me. So it's combining that, trying to integrate all of that. I got to honor myself and get my own justice, but also be that person and come from a place of love and grace and forgiveness in a way. But
forgiveness isn't for anybody else but ourselves.
Exactly.
It's all for us. It's to be able to free ourselves from carrying that weight, those chains. Do you really want to, again, it goes back, keeping that anger within you for what someone has done to you or someone has wronged you. That's not harming them. You are the only one that's being harmed in that situation. It's, what do they say? It's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die from it. It doesn't work that way. So free yourself, forgive them for you. You don't have to go to that person and tell them, I forgive you for what you've done. You do it within here.
Yeah.
And send them on with love if you can. And that's it. And just continue on your path and doing the work for you.
Oh.
That's the most important. You are the most important part of that.
Absolutely.
Is you.
And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't necessarily forgive people for what they did for me, but forgiveness is different for everybody. For me, it was about forgiving myself for thinking that people were better than who they really were. It was forgiving myself for believing the words over the actions. It was forgiving myself for having an open heart and giving them so many chances to be better and to do right by me. But it was all about forgiving myself for being human, because it's part of the human experience. I don't know why people are always so hard on themselves. Oh, I should have known. I'm so stupid. They're shaming and judging themselves. I don't know about anyone else, but when I was born, I did not come out with a little manual that says this is how to be the perfect human. I had to grow up. I had to learn to walk, learn to talk, learn to feed myself, learn to cook, learn to do the thing. We're always learning. There are things I know now that I didn't know a year ago or 10 years ago or 30 or 40 years ago. That is life. So why am I going to shame myself for, okay, I married a man that I knew I didn't want to marry, but I walked down the aisle and said the vows anyway. You know what? Shit happens. I made a bad error, a bad judgment there. But I can't. Why am I going to shame myself now? I think we all go on our journey, doing
It's
the
not going to
best
do
we
any good.
can. We have different motivations and intentions at any given time in our life. We grow as we go, hopefully. Some don't, but I'd like to think
that's
most
their
people
journey.
want to. But that's exactly it. And thank you for saying that. That is the best thing that anybody can ever say to themselves. And I say it constantly to people and to myself. That's their journey. I'm on my own. I got my own crap to deal with. I've got my own path that I'm going down. If people want to walk with me, great. And if they want to go off into the woods and explore something different because they're weirdos, that's fine. Do what you got to do. I'm going to stay on my path. You're welcome to go on yours. Not my thing. I'm not going to tell you what to do, how to do it. I might, but I've got to do my own thing at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So what do you want to say to the woman listening right now who knows she's not ready to leave, heal, or speak yet and is judging herself for that?
Yeah, I would just tell her to just breathe and just really ask herself what she really wants. Because that was something that I think anybody in an abusive situation, and certainly in mine, nobody ever asked me what I want. I was told what I should want. I was told who I was supposed to be and how I was supposed to enact that, how I was supposed to show up in the world, down to what I wore, what I ate, what I said.
Christ.
Oh, it was literally. So I think it's so critical to just breathe, and say, what do I want? What do I really want? Because I guarantee the first thing in your mind, because it was the first thing in mind, was I know it's not this.
Yeah.
But we all have these things in our hearts, whether they're the same things that you wanted when you were 4 or 5 years old, or if they were things that sprouted later in life because of a love of this or that or a passion. We all have something inside ourselves that we truly desire, and some gift, some talent, some skill, some dream. And the thing is, it can be. You just have to choose it. You have to choose you.
That's right.
And I think that sometimes when we are used to dismissing ourselves in deference to others because we have to live in servitude to these people, we don't stop and say, what do I want? Because once, and for me, it was like 3 things right away, right off the bat. And they had never wavered from what I wanted when I was 18, 19 years old. And once I saw the vision in my head, then it kind of kept coming up. Then I was starting to do internet searches and things just started happening. It's amazing when our brain, we could do a whole show about neuroplasticity and neuroscience behind that. But once you have that vision, if it's deep within your heart, if it's what you want, believe me, you will not unsee it, and you will be surprised at the unconscious efforts you start to make towards those, what will become goals. And you might notice a little bit of difference, but just entertain it. Entertain what you might want, because nobody else is going to stop and ask you that.
No, if it's on your heart, it's there for a reason.
Yes.
You are meant to do that. It was put into you, just like our gifts. Everyone has gifts. Those gifts were put into and unto you for a reason. And that reason is to share them with the world. And who are you, honestly, who the fuck do you think you are to deny the world of those gifts? Those were given to you by the universe, by God, whatever you want to call it, whatever word you use, those were given to you by that. So you are not to deny sharing them with the world. It is your duty to share them with the world, to explore them, and to put them out there. Who do you think you are? Do you think you're above to deny them? No, you have to.
Let me tell you a little story, because this is so relevant to what you just said. So when I was in high school, I had it in my head I wanted to go to beauty school. I wanted to learn how to do makeup and hair and all that. Being the stepdaughter to the king of all narcissists, that was not something he could brag about when his nephew was going to school for engineering and that one was becoming a physical therapist. And so I got the finger in my face. You're gonna go to college. I was not an intellectual by any means, which is funny because I so am now. But I remember going into the job fair at the the college fair at the high school. And I went to the first table. I did not want to be there. I'm like, give me a brochure, whatever, that's fine. It was for DePaul University. I filled out the application and I don't know how, but I got accepted. I did score high on tests for some reason. So why am I sharing this? Because I wanted to go to beauty school. I had come out of an abusive childhood. I got my degree from DePaul University. I didn't know what to get a degree in because I didn't want to be there. So in my freshman year, I had a few professors and my counselor come to me and say, wow, you're really good at writing. You should think about journalism. Okay, fine. I'll think about journalism. Let's just do it. Put that down as my major because I don't want to be here. I don't care.
Wow.
Oh, you're good at public speaking. You really need to pursue journalism, broadcast journalism specifically. Yeah, whatever. Whatever credits I need, put me in the class, do the thing. But I really like psychology, so I'm going to minor in psychology. So I get my degree from DePaul in journalism, minor in psychology. I end up with my my ex-husband, 25 years.
Yeah.
He moves me out of Chicago, doesn't want me doing anything in the realm, has me cleaning houses. I divorce him, and I have this idea to turn a journal that I kept hidden under the couch cushion in the basement when I was locked in a house with him during COVID and he was planning to kill me. I decided to write out the stories and put them in a book because I feel responsible to tell people the reality of what happens behind closed doors when somebody seemingly, look at Ted Bundy, the serial killer. He was charming and handsome, wasn't he? Yeah, he was really Chucky, and that's what we endure. So I put that book out, and within 2.5 years, it's a bestseller and award winner. I write 2 more books. I've been on over 300 podcasts. I've been published in multiple magazines globally. I now speak on stages virtually and live, globally and nationally. And this is a completely different life. But look at what you said before, and this is why this is relevant. I wanted to go to beauty school. I was put here, God, source, universe, whatever. Somehow I had the gift of gab and communication in general, writing. I was put in life circumstances that gave me relevant content and wisdom and experience and all this stuff to be able to verbally express that for the people who need the validation and the hope and the everything. So you want to talk about things coming full circle. I am very grateful as such for the abusive childhood, for the first marriage, for everything that led me up to the life I have now, because this is the life I was always meant to live. And when you can see there's so much gratitude, and yeah, it's a lot. But people can't see that when they're in the situation, but there's a reason. Yeah. There's truly a reason.
You just can't make this shit up either.
That was actually my first suggestion for my first book was you can't make this shit up. And I'm not even kidding you. They said that's not an appropriate title for a book. It was called Gasping for Air.
I love it.
Because it references the lung syndrome that I developed as a result of living in those toxic circumstances.
But also living in a suffocating relationship.
Literally.
Yeah.
It suffocates you until there's so little of you left in it that you just succumb to the circumstances. Yeah. Which that's a whole other thing. People say, they meet me and they're like, how could you? You're very independent. You're outspoken. You're all these things. How can you end up in a situation like that? You just want some damn peace after a while. You just give up. You give up trying. You give up hoping. You give up wishing. You just want to come home at the end of the day and not have an argument and not have things flying and not be attacked and give your child a somewhat normal childhood and a home to grow up in. So yeah, you suffocate and you end up just, I always say it kind of felt like drowning, and I stopped trying to fight to get to the surface. I just let myself fall.
Whew. Powerful. Absolutely powerful. What truth about abuse or healing still makes people uncomfortable when you say it out loud?
People really don't like the accountability. I keep coming back to that, but again,
not referencing
the child abuse, but no, honestly, but it's the, would I have left? Yeah, there were many times I wanted to leave. They say the average woman, it takes her 7 times to leave an abusive relationship. And it was the 7th attorney that I consulted with that finally I pulled the trigger, no pun intended, and got divorced.
Wow.
But you could have walked out at any time. Nobody was actually, and believe me, I know there's situations. I have actually met women who were physically restrained, tied to things in the house. And I'm not referring to that, but for many women, for those that are able to open the door, take her kids, take the dog, take the goldfish, whatever, and walk the hell out of there, we have a choice, and we choose to stay, and we have our reasons, and there's no shame or judgment in that. But
No.
I had my reasons, and people don't like that. People become very offended, but those are the people that haven't taken their power back, because I think when you realize that it was a choice, that's when you do start to stand in your power. To say, I had a choice to leave, and I didn't, and this is why. And whether it was right or wrong or just or unjust or whatever, it is what it is. But I have choices now, because if I had choices then, that means I always have a choice. And that's the power. That's the power. But people can't see that when you're asking them to face the accountability, to take accountability for, number one, like for me, yes, I knew when I was walking down the aisle to my first, I literally was walking down the aisle to marry him. And in my mind thinking, what the hell am I doing? I don't want to marry him. We're going to get divorced. Why am I doing this? But what am I going to do? Run and walk out of here? What are people going to say? All these, I should be looking and saying, oh my God, I'm finally marrying the man of my, yeah, that's not what was going through my mind. But I made a choice. I made a choice to keep putting one foot in front of the other. I made a choice to say the vows and do the thing and then to stay. And that is on me. But that is power.
Yeah.
That is power.
What a way to frame that. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So it is. So speaking of shame, what does shame steal from women long after the abuse ends? And why is it so damn powerful and effective at keeping women quiet?
Shame steals your freedom. It steals the present moment from you because it keeps you stuck in the past. The shame is basically, I try to describe it to people, it's usually somebody else's unhealed trauma that they put on you, saying that it's your fault. You are the scapegoat for everything that is wrong, and you truly believe that you are the reason everything is wrong in your life. That's where we find people saying, oh, I'm broken, I'm damaged goods, or you're deficient in some way, because all of those people have scapegoated you with their unhealed trauma. They couldn't face it. They couldn't take that accountability. So everything had to be your fault. And the abuse, oh, you deserved it. Because if you hadn't said this or done that, or had that facial expression, or made mashed potatoes for a side with the steak for dinner, it's your fault. It's your fault you endured the life that you have. And that's the part of it. You carry that shame, that feeling that something is inherently wrong with you, into every aspect of your life, every action, every inaction, every reaction in your life, personally and professionally, every relationship. And it sabotages everything. It sabotages what could be healthy relationships. It sabotages your ability to enjoy and experience the present moment. It sabotages your future because it stops you from going for opportunities or pursuing passions, or it's that voice in your head that says you can't, you won't. You said it before, who the hell do you think you are? Yeah, that's the voice. That's the shame. But once you want to talk about calling bullshit, once you can call bullshit on that voice in your head and start dismantling that shame and saying, oh, actually, yes, I can. This goes back to the choices. Knowing you have the choices, knowing you have the power to make the choice, I say, no, I'm good. I looked in my mind, I envisioned all that shame I carried, everybody's shame as bags of potatoes. And I don't know about anyone else that has ever shopped at the grocery store, why they put 5 and 10 pound bags of potatoes out for you to buy. I'm a 100-pound little woman. I can't carry that crap. So I envision everybody's shame. I had a bag of potatoes that was my mother's. I had my stepfather's. I had my ex-husband's. I had some other people. That was a heavy load. And once I started realizing I don't have to carry their potatoes, their trauma is for them to heal. It's not for me to carry. let me give that back to you. I'm going to set it right here. If you don't want it, that's fine, but I'm setting it down. I'm good. I'm done. I got my own problems. I don't need yours too. And because I could not carry all that in my life, because what is that going to do? How am I going to be able to offer any of myself to anyone when my hands are full with everybody else's shame? So it's really not our shame. It's their shame. And we just have to give it back.
That is one hell of one hell of a visual. I was thinking backpack full of rocks when you're talking,
Okay.
but that works too. The potatoes too. That you're right. And half the shit that we think or that plays on us isn't our shit.
No,
it's usually
not.
somebody else's that has put it onto us. And we carry it.
That's the thing. We talk about projection. It's this word we hear all the time, but it's much more important and much more relevant in our daily life than what we really give it credit for, because everything is a projection. My poor husband, I love this man, but even when he has a reaction about something, or if I'm like, it's not about the present. I didn't do anything. Your reaction has something to do with your past. Let's explore that. What did your mama do to you? You're like, that's just because that's where all that stuff comes from, though. It shows up everything. What do they say? 93 to 95% of our decisions and actions and just how we show up in the world is sourced in our subconscious mind from our past experiences. And when you really think about that, nothing in the present, it's never about what's happening now. It's not about what that argument or the thing that was said or the thing that were done. It's your perception of it based on the crap you haven't dealt with from the past, because something in your mind is saying, alert, alert. I always think of that robot from Lost in Space with its coily arms waving, danger, danger, Will Robinson.
Danger,
Yeah, danger. And it's, oh my gosh, no, your wife is not your mother from the past telling you to eat your peas at dinner. There's whatever is triggered in you is sourced from the past. And again, I love just being curious. Look at these things as an invitation and just stop yourself and say, okay, this is not about the now. This is about the then. So what is it about then? And we're all guilty of this. It's just how our minds work. But when you're aware, it makes it much more fun. It just adds some spice to life when you start stopping people and saying, can we explore that? What happened in your childhood? You know,
let's really look at that.
No, it's interesting. I have stories for everything. Short story. I remember when I first got with my husband, he wouldn't talk when we ate. We'd sit and eat dinner, and he would hover and even put his arms around his plate, and he'd pull his fork in and his glass in and pull the salt shaker. I was envisioning, I remember in fourth grade, kids putting trapper keepers upright on their desks to create a cubicle. That's like how my husband eats. And I was like, I just remember looking at him, I'm like, I know you're the fourth out of fifth children, but did everybody take the food before you could get any or something? What happened here? There is a reason we do everything that we do and think everything we think and believe it. So it's actually fun if you want to be like me and just look into the depth of makes it fun at parties.
For sure. So as mentioned at the beginning, you're an award-winning best-selling author. Can you tell us all about that book in particular? Yes. What inspired the writing of it, when it was released, the title? I know we've touched on the title and you've mentioned it. So tell us all the things. And most importantly, what was it like for you putting all of that out onto paper and sharing it with the world?
Yeah, it was a lot. So Gasping for Air, the stranglehold of narcissistic abuse. That, as I said, was developed from a journal I kept hidden under the couch cushion in the basement, because I wanted to have some record of what was being said, texts I was getting, emails, everything, because there were things that were happening in my house that were being made to look like accidents and could have been tragic. And that was in addition to the domestic violence when the accidents weren't working. But it was just something that I felt very responsible to, just men and women, honestly, to know that don't believe everything that you see, and to know that it's not noble. You're not doing anybody any favors by staying in these relationships and by staying silent, most of all. So I ended up, obviously we all had time during COVID. Once I was divorced from him, and there was still domestic violence that ensued after the divorce, But I started typing the stories out in detail while they were still fresh in my head. It was actually very healing for me because there's something about the way I try to tell people is we all have thoughts. Thoughts pop up, they swirl around in our head. You have memories, you have all these things. But when you start writing on paper, even as I was writing, I was like, I always do the who, what, when, where, why. Who was there? What were they wearing? What was going on? What did I smell? You go through all the details, and sometimes those details spur other details that you might have forgotten. And even in that journal, there were things that happened that were horrific that I had actually forgotten about as well. And I'm like, how could I forget that happened? How do you forget things like that? But you do. So it was really helpful for me to get it out of my head and onto paper because I started seeing patterns. I actually started to see more like the relationship dynamics, not just between me and my ex-husband, because that's what the book is about. Is it starts on the day I met him to well after the divorce. But I started seeing a lot of patterns, not just in his behavior, but in mine. And it just gives you a different perspective when it's on paper. And they say men are more visual, but honestly, when it's out of your head and there's more organized, the chaos is organized in front of you and there's a visual thing going on. And also, I always joke that the publishing process was better than therapy because as we were going through the content editing and the copy editing, there were questions like, oh, that's not very clear. Why was this happening? Why did he say that? What was your reaction to it? So answering all those questions so it was clearer for the reader. It made me dive deeper into asking myself more about those situations. So it just really helps you unfold things that you aren't able to do just by sitting and thinking or meditating and no disrespect to therapy, but going and talking to somebody every Tuesday at 2:00 isn't going to necessarily heal anything. But sometimes when you have it written down, and even you should see, I have stacks of notebooks, and even just going back and seeing the development of this is what I felt and thought then, and this is what I think and feel now. It gives you a little confidence to know that, okay, you're developing, you're growing, you're learning, all that stuff. But the book was it was an amazing experience to write it, if nothing else, to heal myself, because by the time it came out in June of 2023, I remember I had read through it one final time before the day it was published, and I found myself laughing out loud while I was reading it.
Wow.
And my husband said, what's so funny? Because he knew the content of the book. He's, what are you laughing at? And I was like, telling him the particular scene that was happening in the book, which was not funny at all. And he looked at me like, you're crazy. That's not funny.
What's wrong with you?
So I texted my friend. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe what's wrong with me. I'm laughing at that this happened. And she says, honey, you're healing. That's a sign of healing.
That's it.
You're not crying. You're not upset. It didn't trigger you. That was a very terrible instance, but you're laughing. That's good. That's good stuff. So, it was a journey to write the book. And even now, just talking about it, I'm just so grateful that I had said, if it helps one person understand their situation a little better, and if they leave, that's on them. I would never be that person. I don't care how bad it is. I will never be that person to say, oh, you should leave, because sometimes it's just not safe to. But I'm like, if I could help one person, and every single day from men and women, I get messages. So I'm grateful for that book. The other two are just kind of extra bonuses when people get what they get out of them. But it's been a ride, and I'm just so grateful that it's opened up this whole other world for me that as I shared, that I never imagined, but was always meant for me. And I see that now.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Dana. I absolutely love it. It's powerful. And the fact that, yes, you're laughing, that is proof that you're healing, and that's an incredible thing. So thank you for sharing that. If this conversation were the last thing a woman heard before making a life-altering decision, what truth would you want echoing in her body when the episode ends, when she's done listening?
I want her to just know, number one, she's not alone. This is unfortunately too common, but in her body, I just want her to feel a sense of peace and ease, because nobody is perfect. As I said, we're all human. We all misjudge, misperceive, make mistakes, have regrets, but that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with us. That's just life. I would say just breathe. If there's something telling you that your situation is not right for you, your children, whatever, then it's up to you to make that decision. But nobody can make any decisions for you. Nobody can tell you what you should or shouldn't do. There's no such thing as you can't do anything. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. And it doesn't matter what other people think of that. But just know that it'll be okay. It'll be okay. And I promise you, you will have that peace. All those stomach aches and headaches, those feelings in my body telling me this wasn't right, they all went away. They all went away when I finally chose myself. And I think that's the thing that most people don't understand when they're in those situations, because they don't understand even the physical feelings outside of that relationship. But we have to choose ourselves. We have to choose what's best for us. So just feel what you feel, breathe through it. Don't shame yourself. Don't judge yourself. Just be and move accordingly.
Thank you for that. What do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that's helped you become successful?
I used to feel bad about it, but I disrupt people's sense of who they are and what they believe about themselves and the world around them. And I think it's actually fun and exciting now, but it didn't used to feel good, because I always knew I rubbed people wrongly, or I would share a perspective or what I saw as a truth that they weren't willing to accept, and it was not received well. And I'm not for everybody, but it's been, I think that in itself has been a lesson for me. The girl who was rejected and abandoned, even as a baby at the hospital, I went my whole life just wanting to be accepted and to belong. And everywhere I turned, I wasn't. So I think it's almost, talk about empowering too, is just, yeah, I welcome this now. I know when I walk in a room,
I own it.
I always say shit's gonna burn down. It's just what it is. I'm kind of like, no.
When Dana's on the scene, look out.
Remember that movie in the 80s, Firestarter? Drew Barrymore was a little girl.
Yes,
Everywhere she went, there were just flames. Shit would blow up around her. Yeah, that's me. I don't actually set stuff on fire. I don't have that kinetic power to do that. Thank God, because I don't want to harm anybody.
The disruptor.
I am the disruptor. And that's the beautiful thing, though. But I don't mean it in a bad way. It's so well-intentioned and meant with so much love. And the people that truly know me and appreciate this characteristic in me know that it comes from a good place. But a lot of people, again, it's that accountability I keep talking about.
Yeah.
People don't like what I reflect back to them because they're not ready for it. And I'm a little intense.
To receive it, to see it. Yeah. I love that, Dana. How do you define success? What does that word mean to you?
For me personally, success is just feeling aligned in my life. And I know that we use that, there's so many words that are used so loosely in society, and alignment is one of them. But I just think when you are living a life that feels good, and as far as who you are, who you want to be, where you're going, what you're doing, and everything is just moving in that direction, it feels good. And to me, that's success. I don't quantify success with amounts of money or having material things. They're all very nice and lovely to have, and they make life a little more enjoyable. But I think the success comes in just, I'm good. I'm good with myself. I have a good relationship with myself. I give from my heart to other people. I'm healthy physically, mentally. That feels good to me. And I'm doing good stuff in the world.
That's success.
That's success.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
What does the word empowerment mean to you?
Empowerment means showing up in the world as who you really are, and just being good with that too. because I think it goes back to all those expectations that family and society and every culture, even everybody wants to put all these, you should do this, you can't do that. Yeah, but the empowerment comes in just being who you are and not shying away from it and not being sorry about it and not shrinking back because it offends people or disrupts
the disruptor
people.
piece.
Yeah. Exactly. But what an empowering thing. That's the power. Because I'm not going to go cry because somebody doesn't like me. I'm not going to go, am I going to make mistakes and make bad decisions? Yeah, you know what? I'm not perfect, but it's accepting that even, that I'm not perfect. I am human. That's the power. I'm going to have emotions. That's part of life. We're all on our journey, as you said. But the power is just showing up and being like, this is who I am. I own it. I own what I've done. I've owned the decisions I've made. May not have all been right, but this is who I am. And I don't need to justify
Take it or leave it, baby.
I don't need to. Yeah, exactly. It truly, that's the power. That is the power. Because there are people love to call me out and stuff. And even yesterday, something came up and I'm like, yeah, I did say that. And it wasn't nice. And it wasn't meant to be nice. But I felt it in that moment. And I think it was justified given the situation. It is what it is. But what you made it mean about me and what you made it mean about you, that's for you to handle. Because I'm good with it. Because I know I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
So that's the power.
Love it. Okay, we're going to jump into a little rapid fire section.
Right.
So the next grouping of questions just be 1, 2, 3-word answer, okay? What is one thing you love about yourself that is not related to your physical appearance?
That I can accept the truth, even if it's not nice.
Okay. What is one of your secret or hidden talents?
I can pick things up with my toes. It's very helpful
All right.
when my back hurts. Just saying.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. If you could teach the world one thing, what would it be, Dana?
How to love themselves.
What is one thing you want but cannot buy with money?
I think we all want just peace. And we can't buy that.
One word that sums up your mindset.
Conscious.
One book that changed your life.
The power of focus.
What is one word that defines the woman you are becoming?
Oh, she's feral. She's ruthless.
Okay. That concludes our rapid fire section. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. I created a bonus question that I did not send you ahead of time.
Okay.
How do you define love, both the kind you give and the kind you receive?
That's a good one. How do I define love? I think love is when you can give yourself and others grace. And this sort of goes back to what I was saying about understanding our humanity, that we're not always going to be right. We're not always going to do the right things. We're going to have regrets, but we are going to do some things right. And we are going to do the thing. It's just about the grace. I don't get upset. I get upset sometimes, but I don't get upset at people's, like, they say this or they do that and it's supposed to offend me and it's supposed to enrage me. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to give them that grace. That's how they feel and they have a right to feel that way. Just like I have the right to feel the way I do. It just comes back to grace, because when you can give that grace to other people and just let them have that, because again, that's their journey. That's their path. It's not for me to say how somebody should do anything or what anybody can do, nor do I appreciate when people try to put that on me. I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm getting there, and all I can do is say, this is how I feel, this is my intent, this is where I'm at, but the only person I owe that to is myself. I don't owe that to other people.
Yeah. If you were to introduce yourself to me without mentioning your occupation, where you're from, your ethnicity, your religion, all of these day-to-day superficial bullshit markers we use, how would you introduce yourself to me?
I would say I'm a truth seer and a truth teller. And boy, yeah, you don't want to lie to me. You don't want to lie to me, because I will call you out on it.
Yes, I've learned that through our conversation. You call people out on their bullshit. I love it.
I do. That is what I am. I am a caller out of bullshit.
I'm a bullshit caller outer.
That's a mouthful, though. Try saying that 3 times.
Yeah, it is. It is. If you could step into my shoes, what question would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask you?
The only thing that I think we didn't cover, that I've only ever been asked once before, but I think is relevant, is do I ever miss my abusers, the people who have wronged me? And the answer is yeah, because I think that people have this idea that when you're in an abusive relationship, that it's, and it is constant and it is sometimes every day, but it's not always. I have very fond memories of being in the car with my mother, and we would sing to the oldies station when we knew every word to every song. And it still makes, obviously, you could see I'm smiling. I have those memories in my heart forever. Does that, override the bad things that happen? No, but they're good memories. Do I have good memories of my ex-husband? Yeah, there were times we laughed so hard we were crying, and things we experienced together that I'll never forget. But I always say good people do bad things and bad people do good things. But a person's character and their intentions are really what define who they are. And if it's not somebody that I can be okay with morally and for my own self-respect, that's a whole different story. But I think that we need to remember that you can have good times with somebody that you don't like or that has been bad to you in some way. And it's okay to feel that way. You don't have to hate. You can still love from a distance and just say, I get it. That's going back to that
Hating takes up too much energy.
Yeah, and it goes back to that grace. You know what? That's who they are. That's where their soul is. Not everybody is evolving on the same pace.
Yeah.
So that's theirs to deal with. I've got my own to deal with here. But yes, I can cherish some things that happened between us. There are other things I don't like, but I'm dealing with my part in that, with my feelings, my emotions, and the after effects of all that. What they want to do is on them.
That is powerful. Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Dana. That is really powerful. If you had the opportunity to sit down and have a 1-hour conversation with one woman, any woman in the world, who would it be and why?
I'm inclined to say Taylor Swift because I love Taylor Swift. But let me back up more seriously. Honestly, I would love to have a conversation with my mother. We are no contact.
I somehow knew you were going to say that,
actually. I'm sure you did. One thing that a lot of people don't know is that when my mother decided that she didn't want me in her life anymore, I literally begged her, on my knees, crying with my hands in prayer, begged her. I said, please just have a conversation. Let's go to lunch. Let's take a hike, take a walk, whatever. Whatever you have to say to me, let me say my piece. And we never had that. She declined. She said no. Wow. And that was that. Yeah. And ironically, I still had my housekeeping service back then, still cleaning houses. She wanted me to continue cleaning her house. But I was no longer her daughter, and I was just like, yeah, that doesn't work for me. So, yeah, I'd love to have a conversation with her, but I want to say this, that I don't think it's what people think it would be. It's not to spout off any anger or anything. I've actually written many letters to her. I want her to just know that I understand. She came from a very abusive household. Her father was an alcoholic and physically abusive, and he unfaithful to my grandma. He was something else. So she was just a baby when she had me and trying to deal with all that trauma. I understand it. Doesn't excuse what she put me through, but I do actually think she cares about me somewhere deep down. And I just want her to see the woman that I am now and who I've become. And oh my gosh, you're going to get me crying, and I can't ruin my eyeliner and mascara. But I just want her to know that I love
proud.
Her. Yeah, I mean, I love her, but I love me more, to know that it's best for us not to have contact. But an hour would be nice to have a conversation and maybe give her a hug, whether she hugged me back or not, and just let her know that I'm good and it's all going to be okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
That just tugs at your heart, but that speaks volumes as to who you are as a woman and a human.
Thank you.
That truly, that's everything.
Took a lot of therapy to get there.
I'm sure. I'm sure, of course.
But
but you're there, and you stepped into Dana 2.0.
Yeah. And it's
And
not
you own
always
it.
easy. It's not always
No, of
easy. I don't want
course.
anyone to think healing is easy. I always say that people think that healing means you're going to go talk to somebody about all the things that have bothered you in your life, and then you're going to be asleep one day and your magical fairy godmother is going to wave a wand and you're going to be skipping over rainbows and riding unicorns the next day. It doesn't work that way. It is hell. It is literally going to hell voluntarily. And
Yeah.
it's awful, and things come up in the middle of the night and you sit up in bed like, oh my gosh, I didn't remember that. That happened when I was 3 or 4 years old. How could I forget that? But you have to deal with it. You have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And when you do, you can get to a place where you're like, okay, I accept it. Sucked, but it happened. I might cry about it. I'm a crier, and I'm perimenopausal, so I'm going to cry. But we're trying to regulate the hormones. But the thing is that it's okay. It's okay to feel the emotions. It's okay but it's also okay to know that it happened and to still be happy right now and put a smile on your face, and not one of these toxic, positive, I'm just going to be happy and choose happiness, but to actually fully be present and move forward into the future. Like, this is my life. This is how I want it to go. And this is how it's going to be, regardless of all that stuff.
Love that. Thank you very much for sharing that and for your vulnerability.
Yeah, of course.
Truly, thank you. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
I've always thought I just would want somebody to tell me it was going to be okay. But as far as actual advice, I think I would just tell her to stay true to who she is. Stay true to who she is, because everybody, beginning with my mother and my stepfather, I had to be wrong. Everything about me had to be wrong for them to feel okay with themselves. And I internalized it, even though it didn't seem right and it felt off. But I would want her to know, no, it's not you, it's them. But you just stay true to you.
Lastly, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, your corner of the world, your tribe, your people, what would that last 30 seconds sound like? What words of wisdom would you impart?
30 seconds. I would say every breath is an opportunity. So don't waste it worrying, being sad, living in the past. Just be. Love yourself enough to just be, to be able to love the people around you that love you back and that cherish you and hold you in that space. And don't worry about all the other stuff, because it was all temporary. Because in these last moments, all you have is you, just like my great-grandma said, and you have the people around you that love you, and you have whatever it is that's with you in the present, which is what you feel, what you hold in your heart, what you value. Just go with that. Live on that. Don't waste your time with all the other crap.
Beautiful. Dana, thank you so much for such an incredibly authentic, raw, vulnerable, inspiring, and amazing conversation. I've enjoyed every single moment of my time with you. Our conversation has been so powerful. I am so grateful to have had the opportunity to sit down and share in your story and your journey. What an honor it is for me to have been welcomed in to share in that. I appreciate it beyond words. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for shining. Thank you for sharing. You are an amazingly resilient, courageous, and inspiring woman, truly.
I appreciate that. I'm usually just sitting at home in pajama pants with my 2 cats, but I appreciate all of the praise. But truly, I want to be very clear that what I do is for other women and men. It's for everybody, because if one of us wins, we all win. We can all take our power back. We can all live beautiful lives. We just have to choose it for ourselves. So
said. Thank you so much, Dana. It has been an absolute pleasure and honor having you on the show. Once again, my name is Brad Welsh, host of your Empowerography podcast, a platform that was created to help elevate and amplify the voices of women through sharing their stories. Today, my guest has been Dana Diaz. She is a best-selling, award-winning author and global speaker, a podcaster, a healing coach, and the host of Women Thrive TV's upcoming new show, Shifting Gears. Thanks so much, Dana. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.
thank you.
Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends.
You can find me at viseuphoria.ca, and follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.